All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Grace for joining us live. We are in week two, episode two of our deep dive Bible study. And so tonight we're just going to be talking about some things that I've been thinking about, that I've heard some other people talking about. And we just want to have a real conversation and, talk about life, talk about what's going on. So we just want to encourage you guys. We're doing this every Sunday night at 6 p.m. And also we're doing our Tuesday Night Vibes video series. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Make sure to check our Instagram for all those details at High Point Youth. That's at High Point YTH Youth. And it's going to be great. Tonight we're just going to talk about are we doing things the right way? Is what we're doing the right thing? And that's a very hard question, but it's a very real question, especially when we see kind of how everybody is reacting and everybody is responding to either the COVID-19 pandemic or shelter in place and social distancing. Everybody is kind of reacting a different way, and it's really hard to know, is what I'm doing the right thing? And this is something that I've been feeling personally, and I know that some of you watching might be feeling as well. So we just want to kind of talk about that. So we're just going to jump in. We're just going to go for it. We're going to jump in. We're going to have a good conversation. If you want to be a part of these Zoom conversations, be sure to tune in live on Zoom. We send out those links every Sunday, so we can have a conversation after our recording. So, how do we know that we're doing the right things? For me, as a youth pastor, it's been very interesting and been very I don't want to say difficult, but it is really hard to kind of gauge what am I doing in my youth group, and also what am I doing in my personal life that kind of reassures me that I'm doing the right thing. Because I look around and I see, this youth group is doing something amazing. This youth group is doing something different. This person's doing something different. These guys are doing killing it on Instagram. These guys are killing it on Twitch. These guys are doing all this kind of stuff. And it's hard for me to look at all that and say, like, man, am I not doing enough? Am I not good enough? Am I doing the right things? Am I meeting the needs that God has called me to meet? And then also in my personal life, I have seen people take this shelter in place as a complete kind of self-betterment kind of a thing. Like, they're focusing on themselves and getting stuff done, starting new projects, getting stuff done around the house, maybe launching a podcast or a blog, or finally getting their side hustle going and all this kind of stuff. And I'm looking at it all saying, like, this is almost overwhelming. Like, is what I'm doing the right thing? Like, what is the right thing to be doing in this time where everything has just kind of been put on pause? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight is, how do we know that what we are doing is the right thing? And so I'm just going to give a couple points and a couple scriptures, then we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of this stuff. So I have my notes on my phone right here. So Psalms 46:10 is just a really great verse. I'm going to give you guys just a couple of simple verses that just hold so much truth. And what I've found is that in this time, for me especially, I'm not looking for all the answers, because I know that there are not a lot. There's like, what do we know what the answers are? I don't, you know what I mean? Um, but what I do want is reassurance from God. I want reassurance to know that what I'm doing is the right thing. So that's what we're going to kind of do tonight. It's not going to be a specific, it's going to be more of a topical kind of Bible study and share some verses with you guys. So Psalms 46:10 says, he says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." So in this time, we are kind of being forced in a way to be still. School is canceled, sports is canceled, concerts are canceled, all this kind of stuff. And on one hand, it absolutely hurts. It's horrible, and my heart goes out to each and every not only students but especially the seniors that have had all these plans. One of my students told me that they had to hand in their high school musical, core the music sheet music. Sorry, they had to hand it back into the high school, and they said that was like the saddest moment of all of this, was turning something in that they were supposed to do and have fun with. And so my heart goes out to you, because it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not very fair. But I want you to know that you're not alone. But in this time where we're kind of being forced to be still, uh, God says, "I will be exalted in all the earth." So I believe that in this time, what we need to do is just be still. There's so much craziness going on in this world, and there's so much, here's the right advice. Here's what you need to be doing. Here's a format for your day. Here, contact 10 people and tell them you love them and all this kind of stuff. And all of that is true. And I've even said some of those things in attempts to help have a sense of normalcy and maintain community. But is that the right thing? Is it the right thing to feel like you have to do everything? um and the answer is, I don't know. But what I do know is what scripture says. And scripture says to be still and know that he is God, and he will be exalted among all the nations, and he will be exalted in the earth. Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So when we ask, what am I doing enough? Am I doing the right thing? How do I know that what I'm doing is correct? How do I know if I'm doing too much? How do I know if I'm doing too little? Well, first of all, I need to ask myself, am I trusting in the Lord? It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And I just want to touch on this real quick. If I lean completely on my own thoughts, my own thought processes, the way that I handle information, the way that I take in information, and I see everything else going on, I see everything on social media, and I see all the amazing things that people are doing in this time. Um, that is not my path. That is somebody else's path. It says to lean not on your own understanding, but to trust in the Lord. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make our path straight. So for me, in my path, if I want to go down the correct path, I need to not be leaning on other people's paths or other people's ways of doing things. And yes, there's great advice and tips and tactics and all these different things that we can do. But when it comes to our personal lives, whether that's our spiritual walk or our physical health, or all those different things that we think, wow, am I doing good enough? Listen, you guys, it has been absolutely difficult to kind of work out in this time. My wife and I had a gym membership, and we were going somewhat consistently, not as much as we should have been. But for me, like, I like going and like lifting and getting on an elliptical. I have a bad knee from a sports injury in high school. And it's so hard to have that motivation and determination. And then like what happens, right? You open up Instagram and somebody's like, here's what I did for my home workout, and I killed it. And I'm just like, oh, and it's just so difficult. It's like, am I not good enough? Is what I'm doing with my spare time here at home, how does that compare to other people? And God says, forget about all that. That's not the answer. The answers are not other people's answers. The answer is the answer I've given for you. And how do we know that? By not leaning on our own understanding and submitting to him in all of our ways, and he will guide us. He will guide us. And my last verse I want to share with you guys is Colossians 3:23 and 24. And it simply says this: whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, the Lord Christ you are serving. This was one of the first verses I think I memorized when I was in elementary school. And it says, whatever you do, do it as if it would work unto the Lord. And, teachers at my private school used to love that verse all the time. Well, if you're not doing your homework, then you're not serving the Lord, because whatever you do, you need to do it as work unto the Lord. And I was like, oh, you're right, teacher. I'm sorry. But there's so much more truth to this verse than just homework. Although, please keep up with your homework. I don't care if it's optional. Your success in life is not optional. Okay, I want you guys to succeed. But whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. So our inheritance for the work that we do here on earth for the Lord is life in life with him eternally. So that's Colossians 3:23 and 24. So just to kind of recap and give you guys some points. So regarding this time in quarantine, or social distancing, or physical distancing, or whatever terminology you guys want to use, the question is not, am I doing the right things? The question is, why am I doing what I'm doing? I'll say that again. The question is not, am I doing the right things? The question is, why am I doing what I'm doing? So if the reason why I'm doing something is because somebody else is doing it, that's not a good reason. If the reason I'm doing something is because only somebody else told me to do it, then that's an okay reason. Listen, obey your parents, do what your parents tell you to do. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about how you feel physically, emotionally, and personally going and dealing with all of this stuff. And for me, again, just, am I doing the right things? Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Am I trying too hard? I don't want to be a try hard, right? Like Fortnite. I don't want to be a sweat. I just want to do what God has told me to do and do a good job at it. So the question again is not, are you doing the right things? It's, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing something out of a good heart? Are you doing something out of good intentions? Are you doing something for the Lord? Is everything that you're doing, are you doing it as work unto the Lord? And then my second comment is, we must do what is right in the eyes of the Lord, not what we think is right based on everyone else's successes, advices, or failures. And listen, I am not saying to go against wise counsel. I am not saying to not listen to those in authority over you. I am simply talking about how you feel in this time personally, walking through this unprecedented time in this world, wondering if what you're doing is the right thing. So I'm not talking about all instances, okay? And I don't want to get it twisted. I'm talking about this instance right here, right now. You always need to do what is right in the eyes of the Lord, but not what we think is right based on everyone else's successes, advices, or failures. So do not feel overwhelmed or get anxious when you see somebody else post something on social media saying, this is what I'm doing with my time in quarantine. This is how I'm bettering myself. This is how I'm doing. And we have to be careful and check our own heart to see, okay, them talking about their win or their success or what is working for them is great for them, and not let it become something that makes us feel bad. Because their intent and purpose of posting what they posted was not to make you feel any less than, okay? And I want to encourage you, because that is something for me as well as a youth pastor. And I want to share with you guys this last thing, and we're going to kind of talk about it and wrap it up. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's so true. Comparison is the thief of joy. You want to lose your joy. You want to feel down. You want to feel depressed. Start comparing yourself to other people. And this is even before, quarantine and pandemic and all this kind of stuff, right? But for me in this time right now, if I want to feel down, if I want to feel like I'm not good enough, if I want to feel like and start confirming all the thoughts I have in my head. All I need to do is start comparing myself to somebody else. Start comparing myself to that, that fit, guy on Instagram, or start comparing myself to that pastor over there in the other city, or over there in the other state who's just absolutely killing it. Start comparing myself, and maybe for you guys, start comparing yourselves to other students that are just like flourishing and just having an amazing time. And this pandemic got nothing on me, right? And if that's the case for them, then that's amazing. And I'm not saying anything bad about them, and please don't judge those people. But I'm saying do not let those people steal your joy, because their intention was never to steal your joy. You're letting them steal your joy by comparing yourself to them. And listen, I'm preaching to the camera, looking at me, because I'm preaching to me right now, okay? I'm not going to let anyone steal my joy. And I'm not going to let any post or this is what I'm doing in this time steal my joy. And then this was the second thing. And there was one of my mentors in college. His name was Matthew Olson. He was the dean of men, and he would always say this in our resident advisor meetings, and we would have deep conversations. He would say, comparative worth is demonic. Comparative worth is literally like of the devil. And I don't want to scare anybody or anything like that, but to compare your own worth with somebody else's worth is like, that's evil. That is like the most evil thing that you can do to yourself, is comparing what God said about you and him calling you worthy compared to somebody else's worth. And what is that, right? A lot of that time, that's just like external fluff. Like you're comparing somebody else's best highlight reel to your crappiest situation. And that's not fair to yourself. And that's not fair to me, and that's not fair to you. So, recap. How do we know that what we're doing is the right thing in this time? Well, if you're doing what's right in the eyes of the Lord, you're not going to do wrong. And that's kind of the answer. That's kind of the clickbait answer for the night. How do you know that what you're doing is the right thing? Well, to be still and know that he is God, to do everything as if it were work unto the Lord, and to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. The first thing that we need to go to is back to Jesus, back to what he said, back to what scripture says, and we're going to be okay. We are going to be okay. And I want to encourage you guys. There's 2 students watching here with us live right now. I want to encourage you guys in this time. It's so easy, especially since we're stuck in our house and stuck with family. It's so easy to look at somebody else or what somebody else is doing and think, man, am I good enough? Am I doing the right thing with the time that I have in this time? So I want to encourage you, whatever you're doing in this time, however you're handling this situation, as long as you're doing what's right in the eyes of the Lord, you're doing the right thing. You're doing okay. You're doing a great job, actually. You know why? Because we've never had to go through this pandemic before. We've never had high school or middle school, or we've never had schools just shut down for a whole semester. Not in my time I've been alive. Like this is crazy. So however you're handling this situation, I want you to know that you're doing a great job. And do not feel any less than or any better than somebody else because of what you're doing. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. Thank you guys for watching this. We are about to jump into some conversations with the students here who are watching. If you want to be a part of these conversations, tune in every Sunday night at 6 p.m. and we just have a conversation here on Zoom, and we will get to know you guys and have a good time. So thank you guys so much.